Okay. So guess this place. People from this room. Which place is this? Three guesses you have. Next 10 seconds. Quickly, your time is running out. No? Okay, anybody here? Pass this on to the next team. Humpy? No. But a good try. Not Humpy. Opened up to this team also. Who said that? Kailash Temple, somebody. Who said it? Okay, one round of applause to this team. It is the Kailash Temple. Can you where is Kailash Temple? Any idea where is it? It is in Maharashtra. The beauty of this temple is, it is the world's largest monolithic structure, meaning it has been carved from one stone. And it is, generally you build a temple from bottom to top. This has been carved from top to bottom. See, these are our great ancestors who have done so much work and they have set such standards in excellence. History Channel had made a whole documentary on this and they said that it is not possible for human beings to make this, some aliens have made this. And they showed also some helipad type of a thing is there above on the temple, so maybe the aliens have landed on that, all that they said. Okay, so as of now this team has, team C, let us say A, B and C, they have 10 points. Now the team passes, question is for the team B. 6th century is when this temple was built. Now for team B. Which place is this? Amritsar, no? How can this be Amritsar? Anybody else? Sorry, couldn't hear. Nobody else from here? No other guesses? Who said Mysore Palace? Oh yes, one round of applause to her. So it is the Mysore Palace. Very well done. So this was Mysore Palace, which was called Ambavilas Palace also earlier, and one of the largest palaces. It was made in wood earlier and the whole thing caught fire in 1897 and was rebuilt in 1912, but still it is a very grand palace in the whole country. Now, these two teams have 10 points each. The question comes to C. Anybody here? Nobody? It will pass to that team then. Okay, your time up. Nobody attempted also. Super, one round of applause to him. This is temple in Tanjavur, in Tamil Nadu. This is the Brihadishwara temple. In Tamil we call it very old. Huge murti of, linga of Lord Shiva is inside. Can you guess what material this temple is made from? Stone. Somebody said. Granite. Perfect. This entire temple is made from granite. Have you tried to? You are science students, right? To cut a granite even today is not easy. You need a machine, granite cutter you need, otherwise you can't cut. And granite is not available in any place in nearby Tanjavur. They have to bring the granite from far away. And this whole temple does not have a foundation. Do you know that? This is built straight on the ground. And this shikhar, this top rock, can you guess how much it weighs? The weight of only this much, this one rock, is one single piece of rock. 80 tons. 80 tons, and this is like a 20-story building. They have to build a ramp of at least some 8-10 kilometers to pull that up and put it here. And this temple, without having a foundation, has withstood earthquakes, 6 earthquakes, and nothing has happened. No tilting also has happened on this temple. This is the beauty of our people, the ancestors, what they created. Do you think that they can create all this only because they have spiritual knowledge? Would they have some knowledge of science or not? Would they have knowledge of architecture? Would they have knowledge of chemistry, medicine? So many things you need to put all this together so beautifully. And so, we always we must have learned the greatness of Leaning Tower of Pisa, right? Many times we listen about that. But see how accurate this is. 96.3 meters is this Big Ben made in 1858. Here it is. In 11th century, this temple is made in Tanjavur. See the tilt. There is no tilt at all. This is 0.26 degree. There is a tilt. Here there is no tilt. It is straight, vertical. Leaning Tower of Pisa is 1264, 3.99 degrees is the tilt. And this Sur Hussein Tower in Germany, 1450, 5.2 degrees is the tilt. This is the beauty. These are the standards of excellence that our country has valued. And our ancestors have lived such glorious lives. And these monuments, I have just shown you 3. So many are there like that, and you take every field, art, science, literature, dance, music. See the depth that is there in our culture and how our ancestors have valued excellence. If we want to be successful, if we want to be innovative, if we want to be futuristic, we must value excellence. The people who settle for ordinary and mediocre cannot achieve great results. Future belongs to those who value excellence. And you know why? Because what you and I are doing today, artificial intelligence will do that in another 4-5 years. If we don't value excellence and if we are not able to come up with innovative things, we will be outdated. It's over, game over for us. So as the youth, we must know what is excellence, and whatever work we are doing, in that, do we set high standards? Are we able to think futuristic? That is a very, very important aspect. So this country is called Bharat. Why is it called Bharat? Anybody can tell me the meaning of Bharat? See, Bha means light. Rata means to revel. Bharat is the land where people revel in knowledge. It is a nation where people have valued knowledge. People have not only spiritual knowledge, all types of knowledge. And we have given to the world such brilliant knowledge in all different fields. You and I learned the numerals. The numerals have come and we call them as what? Arabic numerals. But all those numerals have gone from India. They are not actually Arabic numerals. They are Indian numerals. But we don't know that. Law of gravity, we always learn about Newton discovered law of gravity. But actually Newton rediscovered law of gravity. In our Surya Siddhanta, it is already mentioned. Aryabhatta, Baudhayana, Bhaskaracharya, Varamihira, great astronomers. They spoke so many things about physics, about planets and all that. But we always learn. In chemistry, you learn, the Niels Bohr's model of atom. But who was the person who actually discovered atom as a particle? is Kana's addition. And he also spoke about, so he called it as Anu, and then he spoke about subatomic particle called Paramanu. Have you seen a movie called Paramanu? Yes. That word Paramanu was coined by Kanad Rishi. So these are our great ancestors who valued excellence, who were deep in research, innovation, and so India today is progressing very well, and we are materially also doing very well. The whole world is in recession, going through difficult times, but India is still able to rise higher and higher. So as we are progressing materially, we should also ensure that we have deep roots spiritually. That is our core competency. Because otherwise we will create a very affluent society, prosperous society, but not a satisfied and a peaceful society. And hence it's very important to value this knowledge. Who is he? You are science students, you should definitely know him. He is a great leader of our country. You have not seen him in his pictures and his videos? Nobody? J.R.D. Tata. He is Ratan Tata, you have heard? Yes. So Jamshedji Tata, J.R.D. Tata, Ratan Tata, that whole family of Tatas. So J.R.D. Tata, very big industrialist, he started India's first airlines, Air India. Government took it over and again now it is back to the Tatas. So J.R.D. Tata said something very beautiful. He said that I don't want India to be a superpower, I want India to be a happy country. If we are a happy country, we will become a superpower also. But it is not necessary if we become a superpower, we will be a happy country. And this is the country which has blended spiritual knowledge and scientific knowledge together. In our country, there is no debate of science versus spirituality. It is science with spirituality. That's why I showed you the examples of the temples. Those temples are not only places of worship, they are places of science, they are places of education, of social service, of culture, of arts. So many things happen in the temple. And so, once we understand this, that how our ancestors valued excellence, J.R.D. Tata started the airlines in 50s. India just got free. And he was able to start flights across the world. So, because they valued excellence, they put country before the self. Here is a beautiful quote of Swami Chinmayananji where he says, "Success is a tribute that life pays to excellence." If we value excellence, success is a byproduct, automatic tribute that comes to a person who values excellence. But if we have chalta hai type of attitude, mediocre standards, then we may become successful for a short while, but substance will not be there, so we won't be able to sustain. So it's very important to value excellence. Excellence is a quality of the mind. Every job that I do, I can do it with excellence. It is not only in terms of the career that we choose, but everything. How we dress, how we talk, how we walk, what kind of language we use, how we interact with people, how we learn to bond and work as a team. In each aspect of life, I can have excellence in my standards. And so, if we give an analogy, if excellence is like the sun and you are facing the sun, success is like a shadow that you just follow. People run behind success, they don't value excellence. Man said in the beginning very beautifully about excellence that it requires so many qualities, adaptability, discipline, all that. So excellence is that type of a mindset where I don't compromise. I don't have low standards and say, "Okay, it's all right, somehow do it." No. In my studies, I am excellent. In my sports, in my curricular activities, in my behavior, in my relationships, in my language, I can value excellence. Does this quote remind you of a movie? Which movie? Very good. 3 Idiots. In that, Ranchod Baba says the same thing. And where did he pick that up from? Swami Chinmayananda. So, what is this excellence now? Let us see. Who is he? Anybody? No? But you are close. At least you guessed the sport right. He's a tennis star. He is a very, very famous tennis star, but he said, I play tennis for a living, even though I hate tennis, hate it with a dark and secret passion and always have. He is Andre Agassi. And he married Steffi Graf, who is also a tennis star. Both of them are international tennis stars. Andre Agassi was pushed into playing tennis by his father because the father's family had come to a debt. Father was an Iranian boxer, but boxing did not give that much money as much as tennis was able to give. So he pushed his son into tennis, and every day 25,000 tennis balls he has to face. Machine will be there and he has to play with 25,000 tennis balls. And sheer practice he became excellent in it. He went on, won many Grand Slams, set many records, but in his biography he says this. Will we consider this as a truly successful person? Yes or no? Can we say he was successful? Professionally he was successful, but in life, can we say it is success? Because he didn't enjoy what he did. On the contrary, there is another example. This you know. Who is he? Very good. So what does he say when he retired? What did he say? I don't play for records. I love cricket. I always focus on playing well for my country. Last 24 years have been really special for me, and I thoroughly enjoyed my joyful journey. So both of them are successful, but whose success is more valued? Because he is successful and happy, enjoying what he did. So this is first point to understand that if we want to become successful and happy, the excellence that we must have is the field we have to identify. And what am I really made for? What is my core competence? Many of you have chosen science. You know, when I had to choose, there was a stereotype during my time. Maybe it is there even now, I don't know. People think that those who are the brightest minds, they go to science. The mediocre ones go to commerce, and the useless ones go to arts. Is it still there, that mindset? Yes. Yes. That's very sad. That stereotype is pathetic. Each one should choose the field as per their temperament. Why did you choose science? Do you feel you are made for science? No, Swamiji, in my family there is nobody who is a doctor, who is an engineer, so I have to become like that, and so my family pushed me into it. Some people say that first I will become an engineer, then I will decide what to do. Many people choose because of family pressure, peer pressure. All my friends are going to science, I don't want to be left behind, so I will also go to science. Why do we do something? Why do we choose a field? Very important it is, it should be based on who I am and what I am made for. So it is said in management, if you want happiness for an hour, take a nap. If you want happiness for a day, go for a picnic. If you want happiness for a month, get married. If you want happiness for a year, inherit wealth. But if you want happiness forever, do what you love and love what you do. That's the key. If I do what I really love, that is called my Swadharma. Swadharma means what I am made for, what is my core competency. We should find what I am really made for. Today there are enough aptitude tests and many other things which are conducted so that we discover if we don't know by ourselves. Because our work is going to fill up a large part of our time. And if we don't do what we really love, we will be frustrated, bored, exhausted. We will not like to get up, go to the work. Two types of people are there. One type of person gets up in the morning and says, good God, morning, oh, once again I have to go for job. Again I have to handle these files and people, oh my God, good God, morning. I don't want to get up. Second type of person who gets up, what does that person say? Good morning God, fantastic day, great opportunity, many things to do, many things to achieve. Looks forward for the day. The first type of person is the one who is doing something that one doesn't love. So one has to be pushed. Second type of person is the one who loves it. So if you have found what you are really made for, you are very blessed. Sachin, is very interesting. Do you know that Sachin Tendulkar started as a bowler first? He enrolled into Dennis Lilly Academy in Chennai and he was practicing to be a bowler. Dennis Lilly looked at him and said, you will be better suited as a batsman, you shift to batting. And that one change, and Sachin became such a great batsman and all-rounder. Bowling also, obviously, he took so many wickets. But the idea is, very early in life he found. And he valued that profession, he valued excellence in it. And so if you know, Sachin Tendulkar and Vinod Kambli, both of them, their guru was the same, their teacher was the same. Who was the teacher? Anybody knows? Ramakant Achrekar. Both of them learned under the same teacher, and Kambli is more talented than Sachin Tendulkar. But Kambli did not value excellence. Kambli valued mediocrity. And Kambli got distracted with ads and money and fame and glamour, and he fell. Sachin continued to soar high because he valued excellence. So very important it is to have that value for excellence and to find what am I really made for. As early as one can, one should try and find that out. Many times otherwise what happens? We copy other people. So beautiful quote I read, be yourself, everyone else is already taken. So be who you are and discover what you are really made for. So here are some questions that can be very helpful to find what I am really made for. What makes me forget time, forget myself, being in that job, being in that work, being in that field. An artist, a musician, a scientist, many times they forget because they are made for it. Somebody was asking Einstein, they met him on the road, they asked him, did you have lunch? And you know what was Einstein's reply? He said, if I am coming from the laboratory, that means I have not had lunch. If I am going towards the laboratory, that means I have had lunch. He is so absorbed in his experimenting and his science and his thinking that he doesn't even know whether he has had food or not. He may say, "Arey, he is such an absent-minded person." That's not the point of that example. The example's point is how absorbed he was in the field that he was having the passion for. So, where you forget yourself, where you forget time, if money, people's opinion doesn't matter, what would you do in life? Many times we choose a career because of money, because what people will say, because of the reputation. If these did not matter, what would you really do? Doing what gives me maximum satisfaction and makes me like myself. Many times we do certain things where we don't like ourselves. So what is it that I do where it makes me like myself? Being in which field can I serve the society to the best of my abilities? What is that where the work itself is the reward? For a musician, if you tell the person not to play the music, it is a pain. They enjoy the music. A sportsman enjoys the game. They love that. So there the enjoyment is from the work itself. Whatever else comes is extra, it is bonus. So in the Gita, beautifully, Shri Krishna says this, that Swadharme nidhanam shreyaha paradharmo bhayavaha. It is better to die in one's own swadharma than to copy somebody else. We can be inspired by people, learn from them, but no need to copy and just duplicate ourselves. especially our peers and our friends. So we have to be who we are truly. That is called Swadharma. Then we can value excellence. Many times what happens is to fit in, we try to just do what all are doing. If all my friends are smoking, I will also smoke. Though I don't want to smoke, I don't like to smoke. But because they are doing so, I will also do. Then we fall in our own eyes. If I say no, I will not do this. Maybe the friends may make fun of me, but what I really value, I stand for it. I don't give in just to fit into people. Then that person has valued excellence, and that person will be able to achieve because the willpower and the mind of that person is very strong. So don't pretend or wear masks. Avoid these comparisons just to fit in and be who you are. People who are what they are and they don't compromise with that, they become great leaders. Not just by imitating people. So here is a beautiful song which speaks about this of how to be yourself. One shot, this is this slide, not to just compare and try to imitate people, just to be yourself. So this is first aspect of excellence, is to know who I am, what I am really made for, and choose to do what I am really made for. Second aspect is, our mind is the real doer. Body is only a tool that we have. If our mind is strong, any challenges can be overcome and we can achieve all our goals. If our mind is weak, even the smallest of challenge can become a big issue and we become stressed, worried, tense, anxious. So the mind has to be made very strong, and one of the things to make the mind strong is mindfulness, is to be here in the present. Otherwise what happens to us? We are either in the past or in the future. To be here and now, give attention to the smallest of the tasks. Excellence comes from giving attention to details. So yesterday Modi ji was in Margam, right? And he was giving a speech. And he could have said about Vivekananda ji got inspired when he came to Goa. But he didn't just say that. He mentioned the place, the house, the ancestral house of one family called Nayak family, where he had stayed one night. Vivekananda had stayed not one night, 2 days he had stayed in Margam. Modi ji mentioned the name of that place also. That much attention to details he had, that which place Vivekananda stayed in Margam, where he felt inspired. Damodar Sal. Yes, that's the word used. Damodar Sal. So, that much is attention to detail that he has. A great leader will always value that. So, give attention to the smallest of the tasks. Excellence is not just in the work that we do, excellence is a habit. And great leaders, great achievers make excellence a habit. And so, do everything with feeling and awareness, and definitely ensure that what you take up, you must complete. Many people can't even complete a whole book. They read a book, leave it, take another book, leave half, take another book, do something else. So, do completely. Whatever you take up, that's the quality of excellence. And ensure that you bring your mind where your hands are. Doing one thing at a time is very, very important. Value of excellence comes by them. So you have a paper and pen, you have a notebook, so please open. We will do a small exercise. You also, do you have a phone with you? You don't bring phones? Okay. So you can watch see the clock here. What you need to do is, the exercise has to be timed. So you see the seconds hand here, and when you begin the exercise, you see that time, and when you finish it, you note down how many seconds or how many minutes you took to finish the exercise. So first listen to what is the exercise. Exercise is very simple. You have to write one line. Don't start now, just listen. Multitasking is the greatest myth. What is the line? Multitasking is the greatest myth. After you write that line, you write below that line numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 28. Okay? Got it? So when you start writing the sentence and when you finish 28, you see how much time you took to do this. Alright? Exercise is clear? Your time starts now. If you finish, you can tell me how much time you took. Done? How much time did you take? 1 minute? 40 seconds? 45? Okay. Everybody finished? Okay. Now, second exercise you have to do. Listen again carefully. You have to do the same thing, but you have to alternate. So, instead of writing all the alphabets first, all the numbers first, you have to alternate between the alphabet and number. So, M, 1, U, 2, L, 3. Same sentence, multitasking is the greatest myth. But one alphabet, one number. One alphabet, one number, and in the same horizontal lines, one below the other. Your time starts now. One below the other. You should be able to read the whole sentence and the number as before in the sequence. Don't write M उसके बाजू में 1, उसके नीचे 1 लिखो. Finish? Did you take more time this time? Anybody completed it faster than before? Or you took more time this time? You took more time? Mentally, which was more easy to do? First one or the second one? First one. See, this is a simple exercise to prove that there is nothing called multitasking. What we are doing is only switch tasking. If you are eating food and watching television, the attention is switching between eating and watching. If you are listening to music and doing some exercise, attention is switching between music and exercise. If you are, let us say, talking on the phone and driving a car, attention is switching. When our attention switches between tasks, the efficiency reduces. And so very important it is to do one thing at a time that will ensure good quality, that will ensure minimum wastage of mental energies, that will increase our enjoyment also. So, now it is proven, you can do research on Google, that multitasking is a myth. There is nothing called multitasking. It is only switch tasking. So, second aspect of excellence is do whatever you do with full attention. Don't do it with half-heartedness or don't do too many things at the same time. Now, 2 volunteers, quickly. I need just 2 volunteers. Come on. Any 2 people come forward. It's a simple exercise you have to do. Okay, we have 1 volunteer. One round of applause to him. One more person. Come, please come forward. Just come, anyone. Yeah, wonderful. So we have 2 people. Very good. So you have to do a simple exercise. Wherever I touch this, you have to, wherever I show this, you have to just touch it. Okay? Simple. Come, one of you from this side, one of you that side. Touch it. Excellent. Very good. Yes. Nice. Now, you can't come up on this. Okay? You have to touch the tip of that thing now. Okay, very good, well done. So, anything you learn from this? Why did you do this exercise? Very nice. So, checking our limits, he says. Nothing is impossible. Very good. So, I give you one more clue. Is there anything that we can learn from this about goal setting? About goals. Can we learn anything about goal setting from this? When you hold this down, was it easy to touch it or was it difficult? Your potential manifested when this was down or when it was up? When it was up, right? So, which type of goals help us to manifest our potential? Very good. One round of applause to both of them. Thank you very much. Thank you. So, aspiration is very important. Small aim is a crime. Dr. Abdul Kalam said this beautifully in his book called Ignited Minds, where he wrote this song of the youth. Have any of you read Ignited Minds? If you have not read, please read it. It's a very simple, thin book, Ignited Minds by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. There he says this, small aim is a crime. If I think small, I will remain small. Like in this exercise, the higher the thermos went, the more potential of the person manifested. Same way, people who set high goals are the people who will push themselves out of their limits, achieve great things, and it makes a world of difference to them and to others. So, set a high goal, it will give direction, it will manifest the latent potential, and we know goals are very important to give us a certain focus. People who don't have goals, today young people are going through depression, worries, feeling boredom, purposelessness, sometimes they are getting into suicidal tendencies. Why that is happening? Because many times there is no inspiring goal in life. What is an inspiring goal in your life? Ask yourself that question. Sachin Tendulkar found an inspiring goal in his life. Narendra Modi found an inspiring goal. Vivekananda found an inspiring goal. Tata's found an inspiring goal. Lata Mangeshkar found an inspiring goal. If we have inspiring goals in life, the field for which I am made, if I have a proper inspiring goal in that, I will achieve so many great things. How many of you saw the movie 12 Fail? Okay, few of you have seen. Many of you have not seen. If you can, please watch that movie 12 Fail. It's a movie based on a true life incident of a person from Chambal and how he goes on to become an IPS officer and what are the struggles he goes through and how he works hard because he has an inspiring goal. He is able to put aside many things, overcome many difficulties and still achieve. So, small aim is a crime. Higher the goal is, greater will be the inspiration. So, we should have smart goals in our life. Specific, measurable, action-oriented, result, realistic and time-bound. Do you know this concept of smart goals? What is my goal? I should be able to write down the goal statement. If you want to be focused in life, write down what is your goal and that goal statement must be fulfilling these 5 criteria. And you read that statement every single day, you will remain focused. In your studies, in your career, whatever you want to have a goal, make a smart goal. For example, I am just giving a simple example here. Learn mathematics to be able to score 90% in board exams. Now this is a simple goal statement. Can you identify smart in this? Is it specific? Yes or no? Learn mathematics is written here. It is specific. Is it measurable? To score 90%. Is it action oriented? There are no words here to actually show action oriented except learn. Like, okay, I will learn mathematics. It can be a little more detailed. Is it realistic? 90% in board exam. Okay, is it time bound? Time bound is not there in this. That I will learn by what time? My board exam may be in March, let us say, but by when I will finish this portion. So, a statement, if you make, if it is made more detailed, so the same statement, if we make it like this, learn mathematics chapters on geometry or trigonometry, it becomes much more specific. In mathematics, which chapters? And for how much time? Daily for 90 minutes. To be able to score 90% in board exams, by December 31st, I should be able to finish these chapters within a cost of 500 for the material and the books. Then this has become a complete goal statement. Like that, what is your goal? This is just a simple example. If you want to become a whatever, a scientist or anybody, a doctor, engineer, whatever you want to become, what is your goal statement? If you write that and detail it out as per SMART and read it every day, you will remain focused. And excellence is that quality. So S was for Swadharma, M was for mindfulness, A is for aspiration, R is for result. We all want results in life, we all want to be successful in life, but is it not true that results only create a lot of anxiety? That will I get the result which I want? What if I don't get? How will I perform? I'm very tense about the performance, and if I don't get this particular percentage, which college will I get admission into? So many challenges we have with the result. So result creates a lot of anxiety in the mind, and the performance gets affected by that anxiety. Our Gurudev Swami Chindanand used to say that before the exam, the student is wise. After the exam, the student is equally wise. In the exam, the student is otherwise. So all that one has learned, the mind gets so disturbed, and one knows, मुझे इसका answer पता है, but उस समय strike नहीं हो रहा, and one goes on scratching the head, but that answer just doesn't come. And then one hands over the paper, and as soon as one hands over the paper, इसका answer तो ये था. It didn't strike at that time. Why? Because the mind was disturbed. Why was the mind disturbed? Result anxiety. So, result acceptance is very important. So, be process oriented, not just result oriented. Because result is a byproduct of the process. Action, if you do, the result will come. If you focus properly on the action, the result will manifest. Many times, because of the anxiety for the result, we are not able to focus on our study or on the process or the preparation. And so, the best thing to do is do your best, study well, prepare well, learn well, and then leave the rest. If one does that, focusing more on the process, you will become successful. As we saw earlier, it is a byproduct of excellence. So here is a very nice video of MS Dhoni where he speaks the same thing. MS Dhoni is one of the most successful captains of our Indian cricket. He is called Captain Cool. So when they asked him that how is it that you are able to maintain cool in most high pressure situations, he is so cool. And he is one of the best finishers of the game. Last 3 balls, 20 runs required, and many people will be tense, but MS Dhoni will go happily, coolly, finish the whole thing and come back. The best finishers of the game. How is he able to maintain that cool? So here he says, a very nice secret he says.
Only suggestion or advice would be, which I keep saying in all the interviews that I give, process is more important than the result. The result is a byproduct of the process. But in today's world, we are so much focused about the result that we get away from the process. So take care of the process, take care of all the small things, and eventually you'll get the desired result. We always keep complaining, oh, we should have gotten more and all of that, but it's actually the byproduct of what we have done. If we prepare well, we execute well, and if we are honest to ourselves, more often than not we'll get the desired result. If there's a shortcoming, it's always a learning. It's always.
If there is a shortcoming, there is always a learning. Focus on the process, not get carried away by the result. This is what the Gita has been saying for centuries. When Sri Krishna said, "Karmani vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana." It's not that results are not important. Results are important, but don't let the anxiety for the result make you stressed out. Focus on the process. So we did 4 points. S for smartness. S for Swadharma, what you are made for. M for mindfulness, make your mind strong, be in the present. A for aspiration, have high aspirations, set high goals. R for result acceptance. And last alphabet is T. T is for teamwork. Excellence is a quality, and if anybody has to achieve great things, they have to learn how to work with a team. Nobody is an island, nobody can do anything only by themselves. It's impossible. Recently the Ram Mandir got inaugurated. Do you think one person or one party has done that? 500 years, how many people have sacrificed, struggled, fought hard for it, legal battles have been won, and Hindus have patiently ensured that they get the right to build a temple there. So it is struggle, and it is always a teamwork. Even this talk, for it to happen, so many people are working together, then this talk has happened. So we have to learn the skill of working together with people. This is one of the challenges that we as Indians have, is that we are very good individually, but we are not good collectively. We can't work together. We have fighting with each other, and we are able to not gel together as a team. Not that other countries don't have it. They also have their own challenges. But specifically in our country, we need to increase this ability to work together as a team. And so, togetherness is the strength. Individually you may be brilliant, but we also need to be team players. Always put the team together, put the team first, not just the individuals. One of the best examples of this we saw in the recent concluded World Cup of cricket. Rohit Sharma was the captain, and how many one-day matches he gave blazing start to India. He didn't bother about his records. They had a strategy to demoralize the opponents, and he would go straight away on the attacking mode. He didn't bother whether I finish my 50 or I finish my 100 or not. Team was important. And we had other players who were putting their records before the team, in the same team. So, very important it is to learn how to work in synergy as a team. People who value excellence are people who are able to work together in a team. And to work together in a team, what is important? Something must bind us commonly. All the team members must be bound by the inspiring goal. Then they can see the differences and work together, and the goal is important. I may like you or I may not like you, but the goal is so important that we will work together and do this. That is called Yajna Bhavana or team spirit. So I will conclude with this beautiful video from this movie called Chak De. Okay, so that was a very inspiring clip, how each one was thinking about themselves first and then they come together to think only about India. Bolo Bharat Mata Ki Jai! Alright, so that's where I conclude. This is what we learned. S for louder. M for A for R for T for teamwork. So I wish you all great success. May you achieve all your goals, achieve success and happiness, and may you value that excellence by which you can achieve all this. Thank you very much. I request Swami Subhoshananji to please come up and share about the youth camp that we have on Sunday.